I guess you said before I was your co-star on 30 Rock.
Of
we
course.
almost had a thing, right?
And I know we have a lot to talk about with you and your career, but everyone really wants to know, what was it like to work with me?
All right, we're back at 8:38 with the new movie Palo Alto. It's based on short stories written by James Franco. It marks the directorial debut of Gia Coppola, and Franco stars as a single dad and soccer coach who's taking a little too much interest in one of his players. So you wrote these stories.
Yes.
There are so many interesting characters in that. There's two main male characters. One is Teddy. He's kind of
played by Jack Kilmer, Val Kilmer's son.
Yeah, and he's sort of listless and maybe like on the edge of badness. And then there's Freddie, who I think is a little scary.
Yeah.
Are you when you were in high school?
Yeah.
Which guy would you have been?
Well, it's the guys actually asked me that. The actors asked me that. Like, who am I based on? Am I based on you? And I can say that Teddy is definitely the one that's closest to who I was. He's in art class and he's, I don't know, a little confused and all that. And then with Fred, Nat Wolff's character, part of that character is based on me, but that character does a lot of bad things. And actually what Gia did when she adapted the book is she combined some characters. So she took Nat's character, who was also kind of a darker side of myself, but combined him with like these even darker characters. So he is sort of me, but he's also not me in some way.
All right, and Seth Rogen was here, and we saw that you are not an artiste just in selfies, but in portraits.
Yes.
And I'm sure we can throw a couple of them up.
Right, put them up.
You know, what about Seth or Sleepy?
Oh, it's a little blurred out here.
Well, I mean,
I'm being censored.
Children watch this show. What do you find about Big Bear that is so artistically enticing?
All right, there's a lot to talk about, and I don't have that much time. But anyways, some other artist took it upon himself to do these sketches of Seth in the nude, like, and he, you know, Seth didn't pose for them, but this artist depicted Seth, and he wouldn't have gotten much attention for these sketches except that he put Seth's face on it. And so I felt like, oh, here he is appropriating Seth's personality and his persona for his art to get attention for his art. And I thought, well, if anybody should paint Seth naked, it should be me. And so I took his sketches and then did paintings out of it.
James Franco, Oscar-nominated actor, director, screenwriter, producer, teacher, author, musician, and of course the winner of the 1987 Nobel Prize in Physics.
You can catch him now in the film version of William Faulkner's classic, The Sound and the Fury, which James wrote, directed, and starred in.
Of course. James, good to see you, man.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Did we get it all? Did we get it all in?
I think you got everything.
Did we say all-around great guy?
And then I guess you said before, I was your co-star on 30 Rock.
Of
we
course.
almost had a thing, right?
And I know we have a lot to talk about with you and your career, but everyone really wants to know, what was it like to work with me?
I can't remember. Our characters almost had a thing, and then I fell in love with
Tina Fey swooped in.
I fell in love with a body pillow.
Yeah.
Which I have still.
You kept that?
I kept that, yeah.
The one thing you kept from the set.
That sounds
Not
like
my phone number, but that's okay.
sounds like a 30 Rock plot. So let's talk about this play. What drew you to Faulkner and Sound and the Fury?
Well, literature's been a huge part of my life. I've been to a lot of schools, and I'm a literature major, and so when I started directing my own movies, I started bringing those two worlds together. So this is actually the second Faulkner book that I've adapted, and you know, a lot of people have said this is an unadaptable novel. It's, you know, written in a very sort of dense, opaque way. But for me, that was sort of part of the challenge, to try to take on that style and have it push me to do things that I wouldn't normally do as a director. You know? Yeah.
Good for you. And I think Mazel Tov is in order. Is that correct?
Yes, I had my bar mitzvah. My mother's Jewish, so I'm technically Jewish, and but I was never bar mitzvahed when I was young, and so it was something that I always talked about with friends, that one day, you know, when the school was done or when I had a break, I would, you know, prepare for my bar mitzvah, and I would have it, and then Seth Rogen sort of just pushed me into it and said, why don't we do it, and we'll do it for charity, for his cause, Hilarity for Charity, that fights Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
And you raise so much money. That's so fantastic.
Yeah. You're good at these things. You take the roast, you take the bar mitzvah. Like, do you like that? People coming at you a little bit?
I guess I don't mind using my public persona or my personality for, comedic purposes.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm good at that.
Yes, you are good at that.
Let's talk about your relationship.
Why don't we?
And as we do, roll the video, please. Why do you think it works?
Oh, gosh.
Hey, look at us. I think
I don't know. We met when Seth was so young and impressionable.
exactly. He scooped me up. I was underage. He was a very alluring older man. I didn't know what hit me.
Forbidden love.
He was inviting me on fancy dinners, all these things it was like 50 Shades of Grey.
I can't say I didn't invite that.
Yes, exactly.
Do you have any? We love that parody of the Kanye and Kim video.
Yes.
First of all, I mean, did you fight over who got to be Kim and who got to be Kanye?
I think
It
originally.
was the other way originally.
I was going to be Kim, and Seth had an epiphany, and
We switched it at the last minute.
It's the new HBO series that's already got people talking. It's called The Deuce, and it's set in New York Times Square in the 70s when pornography and prostitution went from being a back alley commodity to a billion-dollar industry.
I'm old enough to remember New York in those days, okay? I went to high school not too far from there. What was it like recreating this thing? Because it really is spot on.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, obviously we're talking like we can't go down to 42nd Street and shoot there now. It's just a completely different place. And, I mean, maybe you can tell us, but like you look at those old Scorsese movies, Taxi Driver and stuff, and he'll go down 42nd Street and it's like, marquee after marquee. It's just it was a whole different world. New York was a completely different place. We had to shoot way uptown, and it was kind of incredible the way they made everything over. And from what I mean, you tell me.
Yeah,
I've been told
when I looked
that
at
the movie,
I
that the
kept
show
thinking,
is
how
like.
did they recreate this?
Yeah,
I thought
it really
maybe you
is.
built it on a back lot or something because it was so accurate. You're playing two guys. How do you play? How do you
Yeah,
play?
I favor one. I favor one kid over the other.
Back in the old days, there was the line they couldn't cross because it was the same actor playing it. But here, you guys are crossing
How do you
and
do it?
Yeah, I mean that's the old
Back in the
style.
70s.
Yeah, you would just not, you'd keep the camera locked off, do one, change the makeup and come and do the other one. And we do actually do some of that. I mean, we are on, it's HBO, but you still are on a budget. So when you're doing that as a director, part of that is like, okay, am I going to go for the full green screen? And, but that's going to cost me a certain amount of money. That means like I get fewer period cars in this scene. Like that's actually one of the dances you do as a director. But yeah, I mean, they got all the techniques now. I could, make out with myself. I could do anything.
Wow. Well, you went there, James.
I didn't.
But you really want
They went there in Alien. Michael Fassbender made out with him. So I didn't go there on this one.